Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and Restless official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Kyle Abbott and Claire Grace Newman will disobey the rules. Is this anything more serious, or is it just a covert romantic adventure? Let's begin discussing the possible outcomes of this plot. Kyle and Claire Grace Newman's romance is now formally a couple. Given her worries about Harrison Abbott, it wasn't immediately apparent if Summer would permit Kyle to date Claire. After that, Summer appeared to accept it and made an effort to move on with Chance Chancellor. She appears to be returning to her ex-husband at this point. Summer Newman's interference. Claire has been making an effort to be understanding and patient. However, everyone has their boundaries. Summer interrupted, saying there was an emergency involving Harrison, just as the couple was beginning their romantic dinner. When Claire questioned whether it was really so crucial, her opponent responded that it was. The evil who had changed his ways moved aside. Her tone and body language, however, made it obvious that she was approaching her breaking point. Fans of Kyle Abbott's boundaries are already aware that Harrison wasn't in any actual danger. Kyle's ex continues to be drawn to him even after he sets limits. Summer's frequent disruptions and exigencies are beginning to severely irritate Claire, as the Abbott heir can see. Therefore, he could plan a unique romantic retreat for the two of them without telling Summer about it. Rule-breaking adventure, but it's also feasible that Claire and Kyle's thrilling journey could be a little more dangerous. Kyle and Claire may become involved in that mystery now that Tracy Abbott has realized Alan Loran may not be who he says he is. Are Kyle and Claire going to pry into Alan's belongings? Maybe Claire will follow Alan in secret, just like she did with Jordan. Either way, they can find themselves in serious danger and trouble. The fact that Kyle was present when Tracy and Jack Abbott revealed all of Alan's surprises was intriguing. Kyle also brought up the pandemonium in the clinic. Fans recall that when Tracy read the alert on Alan's phone, it said clinic. Havenhurst wasn't mentioned, but clinic would be a sufficient hint. Will Tracy be spared from Alan's schemes by Kyle and Claire? Kyle and Claire might have a fun little story arc as a result. Perhaps they will discover that they are quite skilled at this type of stuff. When Victor came into her Newman Media office and started going through the drawers on her desk, Nikki asked him a question. "I'm looking for a pen so I can write down some information," Victor said. In reality, Victor was looking for locations where she may have hidden vodka, which is why Nikki was upset. Victor was reassured by Nikki that her condition was improving daily. Victor invited Nikki to lunch, but he made it clear that he wasn't using their time together to monitor her. Nikki acknowledged that she missed having Claire as her amazing helper and claimed she would need to monitor her hectic schedule. "They may find someone even better," Victor said. In response, Nikki said, "Hopefully someone who is not out to kill me." Victor informed Nikki that he had scheduled a meeting with Nick and Adam and that he thought he had come up with a plan to convince both of his sons to follow his wishes. Following Victor's departure, Nikki shut the door to her office, exhaled a sigh of relief, and took out a tiny flask that was concealed in the rear of a desk drawer. After unscrewing the flask's cover, Nikki quickly put it back on and put the flask back in the drawer. When Nikki called her sponsor for Alcoholics Anonymous, she confessed that she was struggling. Ashley was preoccupied with something she was looking up on her laptop when Jack wished her a good morning at the Abbott residence. Ashley confided in Jack that she was positive Tucker had hired his PR department to craft a reaction to the latest news report about his lies cover-up. Jack reported that he had not found anything on his phone. Kyle came in and said Tucker might decide to launch a secret counterattack instead. The hush could be the quiet before the storm, Jack thought, if Tucker had backed off for a moment. In response, Ashley said, "The whole world knows by now that Tucker covered up that ugly scandal." Ashley was positive that Tucker's modest business, which had a spotless reputation, had suffered some sort of hardship. According to Ashley, the board members of the corporation would insist that Tucker's head on a spike. Jack informed Ashley and Kyle that Tucker needed to seek safety atop a mountain. Kyle disagreed, saying that Tucker was still out for blood following his ugly outburst in Paris. In a flashback, Ashley remembered how Tucker had thrown a chair forcefully, smashed a champagne glass on a table, and screamed, "Goodbye, Ashley." You go to hell. Jack asked Ashley if she was all right. Ashley acknowledged that she still hadn't fully healed from her altercation with Tucker in Paris. Ashley admitted that Tucker appeared to be oblivious to the reality of what had happened, but she was nonetheless reminded of his fury simply by his presence. Kyle informed Jack that Ashley was experiencing more difficulties than he had anticipated when she left. Jack pointed out that Tucker had completely rocked Ashley, so they should proceed to permanently remove Tucker from their lives. After the Abbotts leaked information about Tucker's scandal, Kyle told Jack that Tucker was no longer sure he wanted to take over Jabot. According to Kyle, he instructed Tucker to get in touch if he chose to move forward with their initial plan to steal details on a fragrance that Jabot intended to release in 2025. Jack gave Kyle instructions to pressure Tucker into making a choice. Tucker received a text message from Kyle asking if he had made up his mind and mentioning that time was running out. Kyle was cautioned by Jack that Tucker was a crafty sociopath. Surprised, Kyle adamantly maintained that he could manage Tucker. Sometimes it was important to change course, Jack said. Kyle pushed on completing his plan so that their family could finally get rid of Tucker. At the athletic club, Audra went up to Tucker and asked him why he hadn't answered her questions regarding his plan. Tucker said he was getting his bearings. Tucker was questioned by Audra, who said he probably felt too ashamed to acknowledge that the Abbotts had taken him off his game. Noting that heads had already turned, Tucker invited Audra to join him for breakfast so he could give her an update. Since most people had short attention spans, Tucker explained to Audra that he had not directed his team to defend what he called a cover-up of a cover-up. Instead, he would regroup and keep quiet. Audra inquired as to whether Tucker had been fired by his company's board of directors. Tucker responded, just the opposite. I'm firing all of them. I have no intention of walking away just because of a little hiccup. According to Tucker, the Abbotts had neither won nor vanquished him. Audra questioned Tucker about his intention to pursue Jabot. When Audra questioned Tucker if he still intended to use the information Kyle had volunteered to give about Jabot's new product, Tucker said, all in due time. Tucker claimed he was afraid Kyle might set a trap, therefore he didn't trust him. Kyle had been playing Tucker all along, Audra acknowledged. Audra clarified that she had been tempted to change sides and join Kyle on the winning side when he approached her about it. Audra informed Tucker that she had put too much money into their collaboration to abandon it. Tucker didn't believe Audra was faithful. Audra promised Tucker that she felt a closer connection to Kyle and would always pick him over Kyle, reassuring him that she had not fallen in love with him and never would. Ashley walked into the athletic club and stopped in the foyer to listen to Audra and Tucker have a private conversation. Ashley scowled at Tucker while seated at a table beside a window. Audra caught Tucker looking at Ashley. Tucker informed Audra that during their argument in Paris, Ashley had accused him of using physical force. It sounded like Tucker had made a scene, Audra observed. Tucker denied any violent behavior, saying he had only pushed a chair and knocked over a glass. Tucker acknowledged that Ashley appeared to think her account of the altercation had come to pass. According to Audra, Tucker might be in denial since he wanted to keep his marriage intact. He had simply crushed a glass, pushed a chair, and shouted without raising his voice, "Goodbye, Ashley. Go to hell." In Tucker's version of a flashback, Ashley had responded in terror, her jaw gaping. Ashley, on the other side of the room, remembered the altercation in a very different way. She remembered how terrified she had been when Tucker had pressed his face close to hers and screamed his nasty words in rage. Tucker trailed behind Ashley as she hurried out, grabbing her coat as she got close to the door. Tucker gently responded that he did not understand what was happening and that it seemed like she was running away to avoid him when Ashley screamed, "Don't touch me. I have nothing to say to you." Exactly, Ashley said. Tucker questioned Ashley about her fear of being in his presence. In order to get away with it, Ashley told Tucker not to try to gaslight her about their altercation in Paris. Tucker would not accept Ashley's account of what happened. Ashley immediately left after responding, "Well, one of us is wrong, and it's not me." Audra saw Kyle's text message while Tucker was away from the table, putting pressure on him to decide. Adam questioned Nick about the reason for their summons as they waited for Victor to get to Newman Enterprises. Nick admitted that the company was short-staffed after Nate was sacked and Victoria resigned. Adam remembered that Victor wanted his sons to work together. Perhaps he and Adam could collaborate for a while, Nick said, but ultimately Adam would become bored or feel ignored and would, as usual, destroy himself. Adam acknowledged that he would have blown things in the past, but he maintained that he had made a commitment to refrain from self-destruction in 2024. Adam reminded Nick that they had put aside their differences to save Faith, that they had both assisted Sally, and that they had collaborated effectively with Sharon at SNA. Nick responded, "I don't buy it. Sorry." Nick reminded Adam of Adam's ongoing betrayal. Nick remembered that after Sally had favored Nick over Adam, Adam had kept pursuing her. Victor showed in and told Nick and Adam that it was time to start over after a lot of corporate upheaval and attacks on their family. Nick noted that adjustments would be required due to Victoria's leave of absence. Adam stated that he and Nick were prepared to assist. Nick informed his father that he was prepared to assume Victoria's previous role as co-CEO. Adam joked that he hoped he wouldn't have to do Nick's laundry instead. Nick and Adam exchanged suspicious looks as Victor said, "What's the big plan?" "You'll be working as equals under me." "In what capacity?" Adam asked. Victor declared that Nick and Adam would share the role of co-CEO and that neither would be in a position of superiority. Victor stated that he would have the last say if they rejected the terms. Before they even began, Victor expressed his wish that his sons wouldn't be at each other's throats. Adam maintained that he was fully dedicated to seeing it through. Nick responded, "I will do my best to give Adam the benefit of the doubt. I seriously hope he doesn't do anything to make me regret that decision." Victor asked his sons to come up with a plan for integrating a new purchase into the Newman organization that already existed. After lunch, Victor promised to go over the presentation again. Nick questioned whether his father had considered his strategy after Adam left. Nick promised his father that he would try his hardest to satisfy Victor, but Victor pointed his finger at him and stated, "Your task is to get along with your brother. That's all." Nick expressed his hope that Adam wouldn't disappoint Victor once more. Victor told his son that neither Adam nor Nick would be allowed to disappoint him. To exchange ideas, Nick and Adam got together at Crimson Lights. Adam proposed branding the new purchase as a boutique store and putting it under the purview of Newman's real estate business. A startup would not be greeted with open arms, Nick insisted. Adam disagreed, saying that the purchase was a novel move. Nick said, "Interesting choice of word. I have gone with risky." Adam questioned Nick about why he had bought a business he didn't trust. Nick remembered that Victor had pushed for it, likening their father's choice to buy the business to the way he had demanded his sons collaborate effectively. Adam hinted that he and Nick might not be able to work together. Nick acknowledged that he hadn't made an effort to be impartial or helpful. Adam stated that they should ensure assistance for 2 years as a boutique setup, which he said would be both an investment and a sign of their trust. Nick proposed renaming the acquisition Newman Real Ventures rather than Newman E Ventures. In keeping with his earlier pledge to buy Adam a brownie to commemorate their mutual agreement on all terms, Nick upheld the rulings.